right? That's the key. The
Absolutely.
mindset and saying, "Oh, I can't afford that." Ask the questions of how I can afford it, or
Right.
how can
How
I make
can I
it?
make that
Who
work?
do I know? Those type of questions
Right.
opens up the possibilities that you can make sometimes.
Well, good day to you, Steve.
Good day, Steve.
Welcome to the Steve and Steve Show. Been a very interesting week. I think I mentioned to you as kind of a struggle this week for me. I'm just from that mindset kind of idea. And the other day,
By the way, I'm doing fantastic.
are you? Well, there you go. See? So sometimes there's a struggle and sometimes there's fantastic, which is why I'm going to.
Usually ask me how I'm doing.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Let's start with
Introducing that we were going to thank the. Thank you, all of you, for showing up.
yeah. Thanks for finding us and discovering us. Thanks for hitting play. Do us a great big favor and hit that subscribe button below so that as our audience grows, we can hit different milestones. And we're just shy of hitting the
We better
milestone.
stop talking about that milestone that people are going to say, "Come on, get it already!" Right?
That's
You know,
right.
so,
That's right.
well, today, Steve, I had an idea about asking you some things because
Okay.
this week you kind of interviewed me on something that I think most people would say both of us are pretty upbeat, but I'm like, I usually have a pretty upbeat mindset. And as I started this thing, I've been a little bit struggling this week. So you started talking to me about, "Hey, Steve, I got this really interesting idea out there. I'm going to tell you about it and see what you think." And so I'll introduce this, and then maybe
Yep.
we go into what that was. He said, go get your phone out and go on Zillow and look this up, this house. And I said, okay. I go and I gave me the information. I look it up, and I go, wow, $3.8 million. And he goes, yeah, what do you think of that? And I started giving him a litany of things I thought of. $3.8 million. Well, a down payment is probably going to be about $1 million. And gosh, how do you figure out to get that renters in there? And I just started going down this why that would be the most ridiculous investment that we could ever imagine, right?
Yep.
And Steve's comment to me was, "Hey, you got a scarcity mindset going there."
That's right. Well, and so one of our previous videos was around Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants.
Right.
And so you have the
Oh,
left.
we got another airplane. You better pick up that volume.
he's up there. So we have the left side and the right side of the quadrant. And I was looking at this opportunity from the right side as a business or an investment opportunity.
Right.
And Mr. Wastenberg, Steve here, was looking at it from an E or a left side, an employee side,
Absolutely.
and just coming at it from a different angle, right?
And how many times have we talked about these kinds of things, read these books, and yet my initial deal was to just go, yeah, well, that ain't possible. So I just want to give that as a bookmark to say, hey, anybody can really fall into that kind of mindset, number one. But number two, as you started then asking me some questions, I completely flipped into a kind of possibility mode. What possibilities would they be? This thing had 8 bedrooms, right?
That's right.
Had a executive kitchen.
Yep.
It had a landscaping that was just stunningly beautiful. And Steve asked the question, well, what if we did kind of an executive retreat here where we started to bring in people that were from Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, 2000 companies,
Right.
to come in for a time? What would that do? And my mind just started clicking, right? As did yours, of course. You were already.
I was already
I think
there.
you kind of set me up.
Yeah,
though.
it was
You
our-
kind of set me
I
up.
was already there.
I'm betting you that when he first saw that $3.8 million, he probably went down kind of a list too. Did you or no?
No, I actually looked at it, and I do this quite often, so I'm already in that mode when I look at things on
real estate side
real
of things,
estate,
right?
because I that's one of my passions is real estate. But when I look at things like this, I do look at like what can I do with it, right? Now there's certainly a piece of it would be nice to live there, right?
But that's a doodad.
Right,
Right?
3.8, yeah, 3.8, that'd be
debt.
bad debt, right? So 3.8 million for a house, you know, and I could come from it from an employee mindset and say, there's no way I could afford a $3.8 million house,
Right.
And that's kind of where you were at
Right.
when I presented to you is like, dude, I'm fresh out of $1 million.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But the question that I was, you know, that we need to look at when we come across these opportunities is how can I afford it?
Exactly.
How can I make this work? Is there a real opportunity here, right?
Right,
If you're looking
right.
at maybe like a $1 million home, that may not be a right type of opportunity, but this particular property being at 3.8, much higher than 1 point something, but the location and how it was set up told me there is a potential here that's beyond a living quarter.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And so, as we started to talk about, okay, what possibilities could you do with this? It came into a kind of an executive retreat. All right, we went down the numbers and said, what is a $3.8 million after, $2.8 million mortgage? We're probably somewhere in the realm of $17,000 a month.
Right.
Is what with maintenance and different things on it. So that's the kind of revenue that you would have to come up with to
Each month.
each month to cover the mortgage expenses and everything on there. So we started to talk about how could you do that, and that's the key, right? You just
Right.
like you said, instead of why, because if you say why, most likely you're going to get the why you can't do it. But if you say how could I make that happen, and I felt the switch, I felt it flip. I said, well, what if we had some businesses come in there, and you even mentioned, what if each one of the people were paying something along the lines of $5,000 for an executive weekend that was just loaded, 4 days, 3 nights, loaded with activities, with great, audiovisual, so they could do their business. We
Right.
could take them up into the mountains and do these various things. Would they spend $5,000, a person on something like that? And if you had 10 in there, or if you even had 8,
Yeah.
you got $40,000. If you did one of those a month,
Well, if one a month would pay the
more than
expenses,
pay
right?
for expenses.
But if you did, since there's generally 4 weeks in a month, you potentially could have 4, but average I would, 2
2 a month,
on a conservative side.
80 to 100K a month,
Right.
that could generate.
And if you're and then so we know the mortgage, and that includes the insurance and taxes, that would be 17 rounded up to 3 for maintenance of the property, and then you may have some employees. So if you round that up, you could get to probably $40,000 pretty quick
Right,
a month, right? So
right.
you probably are looking at two
Two in a
events
month. Two events in a month.
which means that you have 2 additional weeks that you could probably do something else. And if you look
And that's
at
8 days, think about that. That's 8 actual days out of the month that
Right.
you're doing the event.
Right. So let's just do the numbers. So let's say we clear $50,000 a month on that.
That's a pretty B business, ain't it?
Right.
If you have managers taking care of it.
Yeah. So if you're clearing $50,000 a month, and that's what's that? 500. That's 600,000 a year, right?
Right.
So for the down payment of this 3.8 million, it's probably pretty close to $1 million, right? If you had an investor that puts $1 million down, and you're clearing 600,000 a year,
You give them 10%.
you could give them a pretty good rate
Yeah.
of return on that million.
Give them an
$1 million.
annual 10%. They're getting $100,000. You're still clearing 5. What if you gave them 20% for the first 2 years? To
Exactly.
balloon it, and then you
Exactly.
back down off of that, and you still were able to do so. Obviously, you and I aren't going to say today, and probably most of our audience is not going to say, "I'm going to drop $1 million on it." Although, if there's somebody out there
That's very
ready
interesting
to do that, this is a real deal.
Yeah.
We've got it. And if
It's-
you're
it's out
interested,
there.
let us know. We'll make this thing happen and make you some good money on it.
Wonder
All
how-
you got to do is put the funds.
I wonder how many people are jumping on Zillow right now to see what we're talking about.
Probably. Yeah, we're not going to tell you exactly where it is, but you'll probably find a lot of these 3.8.
Don't take it.
We
'cause
are in
might be-
Colorado. Let's have that non-scarcity. Go get this. If you can do it.
Let us know.
Go make that happen.
Let us know if you need help.
And yeah, let us know if you need some help on it.
So, but the mindset, right? That's the key. The
Absolutely.
mindset and saying, "Oh, I can't afford that." Ask the questions of how I can afford it, or
Right.
how can I
make that
Who
work?
do I know? Those type of questions
Right.
opens up the possibilities that you can make something happen. So there was another property that's gone now, but it was a small vineyard and it was an event center, and it was actually cheaper than 3.8,
Right.
and that had potential too. Right, and it's already gone because someone else saw it.
Right.
Or they took it off the market. But those are things you need to, when you look at stuff, instead of saying, "Oh, I can't afford it," change the question of how can I afford it? How can I make this work? Is there a possibility here?
Right. Is there some sort of a business? Is
Right.
this some sort of an investment that is going to give me a kind of return? As opposed to, most of us will be thinking, like you said, like I was doing in that other quadrant. Again, when we talk about the cash flow quadrant, go and listen to the prior video
Yep.
about the cash flow quadrant to get spun up on that if you haven't heard that. But on that E, or employee side, or the S, which is self-employed side, you're always thinking about, what can I do to make this money? And then eventually, when I've made enough money, I'll go and buy something like, big that's out there. But that's just another liability. If you don't take that big thing that you're going to go and turn it into some form of creating revenue,
Yeah.
it's another liability. And we have that liability mindset. Would you agree, Steve?
It's a limiting belief, right? Limiting scarcity, thinking small.
Yeah.
So it's just that type of thing. It's
Well, I got to
it's all
tell you,
about the
I
mindset.
sure appreciated you popping that out as a, and you had that kind of glint in your eye when you were, even though we were on the phone, I could see the glint. When you said, take a look at this. And at first, when I looked at it, I'm going like, again, my mindset was like pretty in the doldrums this week. But I'm going like, what the heck? What are you doing? Are you just trying to lift me up or something here? And frankly, it really did when we started talking about the how and got rid of the, why could I not do that? I just don't know,
Yeah.
know?
It's fun. It's
It is
fun
fun.
stuff.
It is fun.
All
So,
right, Steve.
get out there, get some big things going, get some why questions on why you could, even if it's simply, let's give this exercise, even if it's simply an exercise.
Change the question.
Right.
Look at it from a different angle.
Go do that this week. Go out there and find something this week and start asking the, how could I make that work question,
right.
Whether that's a real estate investment, whether it's an investment in some company, whether it's starting some company that you're going to put a system around and turn into something really big that's not going to just suck all your time. To start thinking, and by the way, go listen to that cash flow quadrant one.
Yeah. All right, Steve. We need to wrap this up.
Let's
so
wrap it.
Thank you
Short and sweet.
Thank you for watching, and certainly hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. We certainly appreciate all the subscribers that have watched us, and we certainly love all the comments, likes, and shares that we do get. So appreciate you guys as an audience.
Again, tell friends, family, acquaintances, enemies about this little thing we're doing here.
Right. Cheers, Steve.
Cheers.